Kisu Grissom, Kisu Kukit, Kisu Koklat, Kapaniskas. Welcome back, everyone, to another wonderful Warrior Wednesdays. I'm your host, Kanshuke Tashmiet, also known as Peter Not So White. And this week, I want to talk about a situation that honestly most people struggle with. And it's our thoughts. It's thinking. It's getting anxiety. It's, being overwhelmed. It's creating fear within your mind. And these things that we do, they're all cultivated and brewed and created in our minds. And I want to give you a few steps on how to overcome these things. So I would like you to kind of stop whatever you're doing right now. And if you are driving, you may not be able to do this to an extent, but you can somewhat. So I'm going to make it easier for everyone to do. So I would like you to do 15-second belly breaths. And if you don't know what that means, don't worry. I'm going to do them with you right now. And all I want you to do is do it 3 times. And 15 seconds is just a number. So I want you to breathe in through your nose for 5 to 6 seconds. And then I want you to hold that breath for 5 to 6 seconds. And then after you held that breath, I want you to breathe out through your mouth. When you breathe out through your mouth, it allows you to exhale the air a lot easier. And I want you to exhale longer than you breathed in. So say you took a 5-second breath, well, I want you to exhale for 6 to 7 seconds long. And then when you have breathed out, I want you to hold no air in your lung for 5 seconds. So you got it? In 5, hold 5, out 6, 7, and then with nothing in your lungs, 5 seconds. So, you ready? Okay, here we go. And there you go. That's 15-second belly breaths. Just take a second to reflect on how you feel right now. Like how does your mind feel? How does your body feel? For me, I feel a little bit of tingles in my fingers, and I feel really, really calm, like super just relaxed and no cares, that Hakuna Matata saying. That's how I feel. And that is one way on how to get back to the present moment, on how to, say you're having an anxiety or a panic attack. That is one way to ground yourself so that you can get back to the present. And there's a couple more steps, a couple more things I want to share with you, because that's only half of it. Well, that's a quarter of some things that can allow you to get over your anxiety, your whatever you're going through, that stress. It just allows you to ground yourself and get back to the moment. And one thing that most people, and I've been here too with this as well, as I used to think this as well, is that every thought that came to my mind, I felt like I had to believe it, like it was true, and when we start to realize that not every thought that we have is true, you're like, whoa, not every thought I have is true. I don't have to listen to them. Just say that to yourself right now. Say, not every thought I have is true, and I have to listen to them. It just feels so relaxing when you say something like that. And then it's another great thing for anything in life, for growth, is getting curious about things. And I've talked about it before in previous episodes on getting curious on things that are happening. So one thing you could ask, just say you're sitting there and your thoughts are spiraling and you're starting to get stressed and you're worried about something, or you're just worrying and all this stuff is happening. One thing you can ask yourself, is this true? Is this thought true? And I guarantee you 99% of the time it's not true. The thought isn't true. It's just your mind using its imagination to cultivate and create these things that aren't true. It's like when you're a little kid, or you watch a little kid and they play with toys. When you were a little kid, you used to use your imagination to play with toys. And now that imagination is it's still there, but you use it to create fear, create anxiety, create stress in your life. So one thing you can do is get curious and say, hey, Peter, is it true? Is this thought that I'm having true? And you just ask yourself, use your name. I'm just using my name as an example. Hey Peter, is it true? Is it true, these thoughts, whatever you're thinking? And it allows you to get curious about that. Because most times we allow our thoughts to happen and then they just spiral. And most times, when we assume things with other people, have you ever heard that little saying, when you assume something, you make an ass out of you and I? Well, that's what's happening, because you don't really know, honestly, what is going on until you ask that person. Until you truly ask them, you don't know what they're thinking, what they're going through, how they feel. You don't truly know and see the whole picture of everything. You can just sit there and assume. And assume and assume and assume. And then when you assume things, your mind starts to take off even more, and you start to create more things about it. And a lot of the time, these things that we assume aren't true. There's been times where, I've assumed things. And guess what? they weren't true, because all I'm doing is just creating a narrative in my head. I'm using my imagination to create something which is most likely not true. And another good thing you can do also with getting curious is ask yourself, hey, do these thoughts even serve me that I'm having today? Is me worrying about getting all of this stuff truly serving me? Say you're stressed out about an exam that's coming up in school. Well, is stressing about it gonna serve you in the long run? Is stressing about it gonna get you to study? Is stressing about it gonna make that test easier? I guarantee you it's gonna make it harder on you to do it. Did these thoughts serve me? Do these things serve me? Does me creating a false narrative, does me assuming serve me? Does it serve a purpose? Does it help me? Does it help me get to my actual goal? Does it? Because most times it doesn't. It doesn't serve us at all. And until we actually ask that person or get the actual true answer, we don't know the truth until we ask, until we get vulnerable. Even with us asking ourselves, questions, it allows us to become more grounded, to get back into the present moment. Because when you are in the present, anxiety and fear and stress can't live in these moments. All you're doing with stress, anxiety, and fear is living in the future or living in the past. You're not in the present moment. To be present is to feel happiness, is to feel life, is to experience it and take it in, to be like a little kid with their eyes open, just like curious about the world. When a kid says, why? Why this? Why that? Why? And if you have kids or you have nephews or nieces or little cousins, when little kids are like, why? Well, why? Well, why? 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 Get the same way with your own thoughts. Get curious. Say, hey, why am I having that thought? Why is this serve me? Is this true? Is these things that I'm telling myself actually true, or am I assuming things? Am I creating a story? Am I using my imagination to think of things? When you start to do these things, watch and just feel how your body feels. I guarantee you that you won't feel the same. And then, let's take you back in time. Let's take us back in time. When we're teenagers. What's one thing most teenagers do towards their parents? What's one thing? When I was a teenager, I remember what I did. I had a lot of trauma, a lot of things I didn't understand. And I had a lot of pain and anger. One thing I used to do, and I'm not proud of it, but every teenager, majority of teenagers, not every teenager, but the majority of teenagers, they do this one thing, as they talk back to their parents. And especially nowadays, where kids don't get hit or get spankings or lickings or whatever, they talk back. They not like the old days where you get beat for saying something. You'd get smacked, or you'd get the belt, or you'd get a spoon, or you would get something, right? You would get beat for talking back. Well, that doesn't happen nowadays in today's society. So kids talk back even more. And not everyone does, but it's just a part of teenagership. It's just a part of that rebellion that's within us. So what I want you to do is start talking back to your thoughts. Start, being like that teenager and put up a fight and talk back to yourself. Say, hey, that's a stupid thought. That doesn't serve me. Hey, why am I worrying about the future? That's stupid. That's retarded. Like that's just silly. This isn't right. Like, stop doing that. Just those are examples on a few things that you can do. And when you do one of these, or if you go through all the steps, you watch your life start to transform. Especially that belly breathing one. If I could recommend any of these tips on getting rid of, getting out of your anxiety or your panic attack or out of your stress moments, breathe into your belly. Go back to that 5 in, hold for 5, out for 7, no air in your lungs for 5 seconds. Even just doing that 2-3 times, just take 30 seconds to a minute and breathe and focus on that. And that'll bring you back to the present. And that'll give you the actual time to ask yourself and go through the rest of the steps and get curious. Go through the stages of your life, be that little kid and say, why? Why? And then as you're a teenager, talk back to yourself, talk back to your thoughts. And then you become the adult where you have that growth mindset and you understand, hey, these don't serve me. These thoughts that I'm having, they honestly don't serve me for a better purpose. They're not helping me reach my goal at all. So this is what I challenge you this week. It's to do these steps. When you start to have an anxiety attack, or you're starting to stress, or you're starting to, if you have panic attacks, try these things. And it'll really help you get back into the present, into life, so you can enjoy it. Because you deserve to be in the present as well. You deserve to have a great life. We all do. So with that, I'm going to end my podcast. Have a good night, or day, or evening, weekend, whenever you're watching this. And I'll see you next week, next Wednesday. Take care, all my wonderful, wealthy warriors, Sukini, Dagas, and remember, everything always happens for the right reasons. Take care.